All right. Good morning, everyone. Martin Aguilar here, and Chief Consultant of the Filipino Hospitality. And again, thank you very much for joining us today, this morning. And it's going to be a good episode. It's actually our second episode pa lang, no? And today, it's going to be about on productivity. So we're going to be continuing our topic from Monday, right? We were discussing productivity. We discussed some topics that we were actually talking about in our previous webinars on productivity and working from home. But today it's going to be different because now we're going to be talking about productivity the Accor way. No, everybody knows about Accor. They're one of the best, the most established international chains around the world. And now we're very fortunate that someone from Accor, and a special person at that, is going to be with us. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you our guest speaker for today. So our guest speaker for our Upskill Live Learning Sessions today has been in the training and development of people industry for over 22 years. So, ang tagal na po, no? Ang dami na po niyang experience in different parts of the world and different parts of the country, even in the Philippines. And, he had a Bachelor of Arts in Drama and Dramatics, Performing Arts at the University of the Philippines. He has an MA in Special Education and Teaching and is a certified AccorHotels trainer. Now, he is currently the National Learning and Development Manager for Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Maldives, and the Philippines under the AccorHotels Academy. Now, AJ, has been in the training and development of people industry for over 22 years. Can you imagine? 22 years po ang kanyang experience both in the Philippines and of course in abroad. Now, his experience, and expertise span from various industries like entertainment, Academie, BPO, early childhood education, NGOs, local Christian churches and communities, customer service, and hospitality. Now, si Coach AJ is actually a coach. No? He's also a mentor and of course a learner, right? So that's what's good about him because he has a holistic side, different perspectives of his persona, right? So now a form of belief of building tomorrows. He actually believes in building tomorrows now, right? So very admirable. Now, without further ado, let's all give a virtual clap and welcome Coach AJ Dela Fuente. All right. Hi, AJ.
Hi. Hi. Thank you, Martin. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege to actually
I'm
be
sorry.
on.
I think I there seemed to be a problem with the audio. Let me
Okay,
just double check. Right
sure.
there. Can you try that again?
All right. Can you hear me now?
There you go. All right.
Great.
Hi,
Again,
AJ.
good
How are you?
morning. Good morning. I'm great. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Martin. Good morning. And good morning to everyone who's tuned in right here on the Filipino Hospitality, either the Facebook page or the YouTube channel. Just want to say good morning to everyone. Martin, again, thanks for this wonderful privilege, wonderful opportunity to share in our thoughts, sharing our ideas, sharing best practices, because there's no better time than now to
Right.
get ourselves closer together and help each other and support each other. So thank you. Good morning, everyone, to those who's watching. If I may, Martin, I just want to say how much I appreciate my bosses, my leaders, rather, at the Bangkok corporate office for allowing me to be here. I just want to say thank you to our COO, Patrick Bissay, for Asia Pacific, my VP for Talent and Culture. We call HR Talent and Culture. My VP, bonjour, Monsieur Christophe Lejeune. Thank you to the team in Asia Pacific and Singapore, Harry and Joyce. Thank you for coaching me. And of course, my director, John Timson, and the team at Upper Southeast and Northeast Asia and the Maldives. Good morning, my fellow trainers. Thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you for being here with us, AJ.
Mhm,
All right. So, Coach AJ,
mhm,
just
mhm.
to give you an overview, right?
Okay.
Last Monday, we were talking about productivity and we were sharing some insights on working from home. And I
Mhm.
understand, no, with our conversations, I understand that you yourself and your team have been working from home. Can you share us
Yes.
a little about what you're doing?
Yes, yes, Martin. We have been for quite a number of weeks now. Yes. I think, needless to say, Martin, we have found ourselves in uncharted territories. We found ourselves in uncharted waters, and we have been required to adapt ever so quickly. Yep, to adapt, to unlearn and relearn things, both old and new. Prior to COVID-19, our team was actively involved in the opening of hotels and regions and resorts rather in our region. We're developing people skills. We're coaching leaders across the nation, and we still have a very strong pipeline of upcoming hotels. But nothing much has changed, yeah, so far as far as learning and development is concerned. But we have been required to transition solely to the digital training sessions. But even before I joined Accor in 2016, there were already programs existing to be facilitated and to be and specifically designed rather to take over place digital platforms. So this is nothing new to us, so to speak.
Great. Wow. So you mentioned that it's been going on for a while, right? But
Yeah.
again, I can actually empathize with you because we were all caught up in a surprise. No, everyone's talking about the Internet of Things. We're talking about the Industrial 4.0 Industrial Revolution, where technology plays an important role in society. And now here we are, caught by surprise with COVID-19. All of a sudden we're all working from home, we're all relying on internet, on the computer, and we have these platforms for us to connect with our teams. Maybe you can share like on a regular basis what you do. I understand you have a number of people under you and you're overseeing several countries, so how do you do that, AJ?
Pretty overwhelming at first, to be honest, Martin. It's pretty overwhelming. I was handling 5 countries when I got promoted to the corporate level. And these are Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, the Maldives, and the Philippines. And if I were to sum up the number of hotels, it's over 40 hotels in total. So just imagine how many people need to be trained in terms of management training, skills building training, leadership training. So it's just overwhelming at first, but then you begin to realize the purpose why you have given that post. Not only because you are expected to be good at facilitation and content development, but more importantly, influencing people to think differently, to think that they could do better. So I miss seeing my people face to face. But again, as mentioned, thank goodness for technology. We are even more connected compared to how we were 3 months ago, 4 months ago, so to speak. So we're embracing this platform, which I said earlier, nothing new to us. I've been with Accor for over 4 years now, and we have had virtual sessions even before this thing happened. So it's just the full acceptance of this is what we are for now, and hopefully we get to face our teams and conduct face-to-face training in the future, because nothing beats that. Nothing beats um, um, impromptu banters, discussion, sharing of ideas, and reactions. Nothing beats that. So we wanna get our sessions as engaging as possible on the virtual platform, but then again, we would want to be in the hotels, but that's not going to happen anytime sooner, I guess, until a vaccine is discovered and then cascaded down to the teams.
Right. I actually agree, AJ. I
Hmm.
miss face-to-face training myself because for the
Hmm.
Filipino hospitality, that's actually what we're doing, or we're conducting training for the Department of Tourism, and we go to different parts of the country. Now, the challenge is,
Yes.
all of a sudden, because of the new normal, we're just talking to a camera in front of us, with a computer. Isn't that so crazy? I mean, for us especially, right? Like we're not really used to this. At least you, because you're overseeing several countries.
Yeah.
Definitely, the online platform will be the best, more efficient way to do. But for us, it's really very challenging. So there's a
Hmm.
lot of transition. There's a lot of learning, especially for our tourism stakeholders, that needs to
Hmm.
take place.
Absolutely. And you also need to consider that not everyone is confident enough to be in front of the camera and be talking like you are talking to somebody else, but you're just talking through the lens. And the challenge there is getting your message across through that through the tiny hole, and hopefully get them as engaged as possible.
Right. Okay. All right.
Mm.
Well, AJ, by the way, I was reading through LinkedIn. In fact,
Mhm.
I was searching there, and I saw a recent article. It was by
Mhm.
the pwhotelier.com that mentions Accor provides remote learning opportunities to its artists. Maybe you can
Yes.
share a little what who are artists and what kind of learning opportunities do you actually do for your team?
That's great. Funny you ask, Martin. We don't call our team members or cast
Okay.
members or employees or staff. We call them artists. Yep. And this is our culture. This has been coined 4 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, 4 years ago. And the first rollout of this transformation was in Barcelona, Spain. And I'm so proud that I'm one of the world or global transformers, and particularly in charge of the transformation of culture here in our region. Why heart is? It's a combination of two words, heart, because everyone is passionate about this job. It takes a special kind of person and a special kind of calling for someone to be in hospitality. Don't you agree? So
Of course.
heart. So that talks about our passion, that talks about our drive. And the other word being artist, because we believe that each and every one of us has a creative side to us. It's just there. We just need to be able to unearth and discover the creativity side in us. So we put those two words together. We call ourselves artists, and that's a copyright. Nobody else could make use of that label or that tag. And you mentioned about that article on BW Hotelier. Satish Kumar, the director of learning and talent development for AccorHotels in India and South Asia, was given that opportunity to share how Accor continues to support our teams despite the isolation. And we are using all possible relevant platforms to reach out to our teams, yeah, to reach out our teams and retain engagement. But mind you, our goal isn't just to pursue learning amidst this lockdown. I think that's just consequential. What we're really after is to be able to still manage to support our teams by keeping them active, keeping them engaged, sharing their ideas and sharing their experiences. Also, I'm proud that we have partnered with eCornell. Yep, it's a very infamous and world-renowned and quite, I may say, reputable learning institution where 19 of its courses were made available to our teams to access. Courses on leadership, courses on virtual communication, courses on managing emotions, and even teamwork, to name a few. We've also leveraged on LinkedIn platforms. So we're just getting ourselves in there. We're just trying to embrace every single way possible to get our teams engaged. We have uploaded podcasts for our teams to access anywhere in the world so they can get inspired and motivated. And the team that I belong to, the team that's headquartered in Bangkok, the upper Southeast and Northeast Asia, and the Maldives, we have sat down, brainstormed, and wrote. We crafted specific programs on wellness, on emotional well-being, on lifelong learnings, yeah, to name a few, to be cascaded to our teams. And I'm so happy that our teams are on board. They are on the same page with us. Again, as mentioned, consequential that they still learn amidst the lockdown. But I guess more importantly, what we want to tell our team is that we are still there despite the ordeal that's going through around us.
Excellent. Wow. When you said that you have a lot on your plate, I never really imagined that it's that many. So we're talking about productivity, AJ. How do you manage? How do you balance your time? Because of course, everyone's working from home. You know, you have also your personal chores. Now you have your
Mhm.
work. Now, how do you balance? How do you manage your time?
I think now more than ever, Martin, we are been given this blessed opportunity that we get to hit two birds with one stone. We get to we get to do two things at the same time. First is to manage our workloads, and at the same time spend time with our families. Now, nothing could be better than that. But I think during the first few weeks of the quarantine, of the lockdown, it got to a point where it overwhelmed a lot of people, because now they've got the full 24 hours on their hands and they don't know how to start. I guess what worked for me, Martin, is sticking to routine. Sticking to routine worked so well for me, because it just gave me a route that I need to take, and I need to finish at the end of the day. It made sense where I need to be at some point, what I need to be doing at some point, what I need to be accomplishing at some point. So it just gave me direction, regardless whether it's at work or here now working from home. And I think that's really, really important for someone to be productive, because if you don't have a to-do list, then you basically don't know what to do. You're going to be overwhelmed. So you gotta help yourself out by making a to-do list and then streamlining that to what's more important, to what needs to be prioritized first, be it errands for the bank, be it grocery, be it, and you want to lessen the time you need to do grocery to get your stuff, right? So,
Right.
and I make sure that, and acquiring medicines for my dad, I do that as much as possible every week. Yep, so we get to replenish our medicines, our vitamins, and whatnot. So, if you have a to-do list, it's going to be easier for you to know exactly where you need to be, what you need to be doing at a certain time of the day. Of course, a big chunk of that schedule, which we allot for, our travel time to and fro, from home to your office, that's going to eat up a lot of your time. So that is where you need to fill in a whole lot of other things: self
Right.
development, self management, relationship building. I think there's really a lot of things that we can do, but we need to start with the basics, which is writing down your to do list. And that's going to help you. Probably a tip one, the first step that I can tell the teams who are watching right now, that for you, in order for you to be productive, you need to have a plan. You need to
Right.
have a plan for the day.
And we always say that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right?
Absolutely. There's something that I've cascaded down to the team, especially for our trainers. The 5 P's.
Okay.
Prior planning prevents poor performance. So if you take note of planning, um, consequently your you know performance will help you, because 50% of the success of any project is planning. So if you sit down and know exactly what you need to be doing, 50% of the success is already done for.
Right. Okay. By the way, AJ, just to acknowledge our, because of course we're streaming live in Facebook and our YouTube channel, and it's
Mhm.
being there are watch parties being held as well in different Facebook
Wow.
groups. Now, I just
Mhm.
wanted to acknowledge Mr. John Francis Abelgas. Right, he wanted to say good morning to us. He's from Travelets Incorporated and from
Yeah.
Rise Up PH Group. Now, Rise Up PH is actually pursuing the travel renaissance. Now, they're really pushing our industry to work together, to collaborate together. Like what we're doing now, because we understand the challenges of the times. And as
Mhm.
much as possible, we want to help everyone from different stakeholders from different parts of the country, even now the other parts of the world. Do you
I
agree?
know. I had the pleasure of working with John last year. He was the one who was organizing this conference for the Executive Assistants Association of the Philippines. And I might
Okay.
say John was surprisingly over the top in terms of his organization. Um, just amazing, and I would love to work with you again, John. You were amazing. We had that conference in Coron, Palawan, and during that time there was a typhoon, so there was a lot of delay from the touchdowns of the airplanes and whatnots. But John managed to pacify every single participant for that conference. So kudos to you, John, and I hope to work with you again.
All right. Good job, John.
Mhm.
Okay. by the way, for our viewers, if in case you have comments and suggestions, please go ahead and type in that comment. If you
Mhm.
haven't done so, please go ahead. Right, we're open to suggestions or open to your questions later. We're going to be
Mhm.
requesting AJ to maybe accommodate a few questions, right? But right
Sure.
now, I do have a question for you, AJ.
Okay.
Right. So Accor, of course, as we all know, is one of the most established international chain of hotels in the world, right? So
Mhm.
now our community in the Filipino hospitality is not just tourism professionals. We're also, entertaining and connecting and engaging with hospitality and tourism students. Now,
Correct.
a lot of them have been messaging us. They're asking what's going to happen to our industry, and so we have these updates. Yeah, we're
Mhm.
letting them know of the real situation of COVID, its impact to tourism, well, what's happening in our country. But I think the question now is what can they do right now while they're preparing, while they're in school or about to, pursue a career in hospitality and tourism. Now, definitely there will be changes in
Mhm.
the tourism. The dynamics of competencies will definitely change. Right now, how can they increase their chance of acceptance? Say, for example, in working for an esteemed brand like Accor.
Thank you very much for that, Martin. And I couldn't agree more. Personally, I have always believed that skills can be trained. Being the trainer that I am, it can always be trained. But those skills need to be complemented with the right mindset. These two need to go together. It doesn't mean you are the at the top 10 of your class, or you're the summa cum laude or magna cum laude of that particular batch. You're going to end up with an awesome, fantastic job, right? So these two need to work hand in hand, your skills and the right mindset. At Accor, we believe that hospitality of tomorrow is rooted deeply in a unique combination of extraordinary experiences, high performance solutions, and more importantly, human values, strong human values. Why do we say that? Because they make our actions meaningful. You can sense it if somebody's doing it out of a service sequence. You can sense it if somebody's doing it because it
Right.
is the SOP or the policies and procedure. But if we are deeply rooted in our own unique experiences and our strong human values, I guarantee that every single thing that we are going to do in our work is going to be more meaningful, not only for the guests, but also to us, the hoteliers. We guide our everyday activities and serve it as our shared language, no matter where we are in the world. We are present in over 100 countries all over the world. So regardless of the language that we speak, our shared language is doing everything from the heart, cliche
Right.
as it may sound. We put a high value on our values, first of which would be trust. We empower people. We encourage people to be risk takers, to constantly challenge themselves to think big, because we know that we aren't going to be in this particular post for the longest time. We got to move up somewhere, right? So if we can't empower somebody who can assume our roles in the next 2 or 3 years, then we're not being a good leader. We also put a lot of um, high regard to respect, and I'm really proud of our stance with diversity and inclusivity. We embrace our generations, our culture, our genders, with no discrimination towards disabilities and sexual orientation. We innovate a lot. We can't stop creating new things and learning new things. One of our values is also spirit of conquest, which means aiming to build a momentum of creation and positive value for as many people as possible and over a longer period of time. And the last two rather, is guest passion. It
Okay.
is important that if you want to work in this industry, you got to be able to have the servant heart, a heart that prioritizes service above others. So we have to be guest centric. And the last one, and there's a reason why I I want to say this last. One of our values that I put a high regard on is sustainable performance, not only towards products and services, but towards our people. As
Right.
soon as you come in through the Accor doors, you already know where you sit, and you know where you're headed to. And
Mhm.
that's what I like, and that's one of the key factors why I moved from a former brand to Accor. So if you guys find your personal values aligned to these, then I think our doors are more than welcome to embrace you and give you a slot. As mentioned earlier, Martin, we call ourselves at a core artist, which is a combination of two words,
Right.
heart and artist, placing people at the heart of everything we do. Because at the end of the day, what counts most is not how big the room is, now not how extravagant the buffet is. At the end
Right.
of the day, the shared experiences that you have presented to the guests. I think that is what's going to be remembered most. And our hearts are empowered to be creative, to be free, to be attentive, because it's all about emotion. It's all about emotions at the end of the day. So, and I'm really, really proud that we stand out in that area. Yeah, yes, we take into consideration the products and the services, and we keep innovating and upgrading our skills and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's really about experience. It's
Right.
really getting to know your guests from the heart and why they are in our properties. Now more than ever, birthday cakes, it could just be a part of your service sequence. It could just be a part of your templates and whatnot. But what will make it meaningful? If you know your guests better, if you know your guests, not just giving out birthday cakes, but what specific flavor, what specific design and whatnot, that will mean a lot to them. Not just putting flowers in the corner of the room, because you might not know that particular guest is allergic to a certain kind
Right.
of flower.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think these nitty gritty details we really will really embrace and really encourage our teams to think on their feet. Yep.
Right.
Give them the liberty, the freedom to do as they please to our guests.
Excellent. Right. I
Mhm.
specifically like what you said because most of the hospitality students, tourism students are very particular with certification. Learning
Mm,
or having certain kind of skills. They're focusing on the skills, but here you are saying to us that it's more important to focus on the heart, right? Because of course, as you mentioned, skills can be learned, but attitude is something that is quite difficult to learn in the classroom. Yeah.
Absolutely, and you can't teach that. Yeah, you can't teach that. It has to come in from the very from the very core of that person. So if you don't really feel like this is your place, and it looks glamorous, with the air conditioning, with the suits, and with the high heels for the ladies, and and whatnot, with the location and whatnot, it really looks glamorous. But if you really look behind the scenes of what happens behind that reception table in the logistics sides of hospitality, it takes a
Right.
whole lot of heart. And if you don't have the heart to do that, you won't stay long. You won't last long in this industry. You really got to have a heart of service and a really hard to connect with your guests.
Right. Okay. Excellent insight so far, AJ. And
Mhm.
maybe, wow, time flies so fast. We're
I know.
ending 30 minutes already. And maybe just to wrap up, we've been talking about productivity, how efficient you are with your teams, how important planning is. And we also talked about your core values and it's important, how it plays a role in the service culture of your teams. Now, if you were to give a wrap up on how our viewers can be more efficient, on how they can increase their productivity, and at the end of the day, how they can improve themselves and prepare themselves, when they go back to operation, when they go back to their hotels, when they go back to their tourism enterprises, what do you think would be the tips that you can leave with us right now? Since you are working from home, and eventually when they go back, what do you think can they do?
I'll reiterate what I said early on. You really have to stick to your routine. If you wake up at a certain time of the day, if you drink your coffee at a certain time of the day and then scroll down the news, or if you're my age, you go through traditional broadsheets and whatnots. Stick to that routine because it will help you psychologically. Yep. And it will tell you what you need to be doing at a certain time of day, when you need to, where you need to be, what you need to accomplish. Because if you had a routine prior to COVID-19, I really strongly suggest that you stick to it. Dedicate time for yourself, for learning. And nowadays, it's within the tips of your finger. Learning is everywhere. We have crafted a module on cascading, and we have cascaded it down to our teams on the free available resources that are available out there. All you got to do is a little bit of initiative, a little bit of, getting your feet wet and taking the initial step. As they say, the first step is the most crucial. But you got to be there, little steps, and it will go a long way, right? So really stick to that. Dedicate also a time for relationship building. I think one of the many realizations that we have for most of us, if not all of us, during this lockdown is we have realized how important it is that at the end of the day, it's really all about family. It's really all about your loved ones. It's about your friends and how you we wish you'd have more time with them. But now that we're given this much time, I think it's really great that we do not just quantitative in terms of spending time with them, but really more of quality. Yep, it's that silent sit down, watch the movie together, and just enjoy the movie. Yep, it doesn't have to be chit chats all throughout the movie and whatnot. It's that asking each other, let's go get food, what do you want, and really getting engaged into that. I think that's really important when it comes to professional. On the professional side, I think it's important that we emerge. We emerge from this ordeal. We emerge from this unfathomable experience stronger. And how do we do that? We should be stronger physically. Yep. So I'll try to cover all facets of our individuality. I think we should emerge stronger physically. We should have had picked the right choices in terms of our meals, of our diet and health and nutrition. We should have realized how much we need to take care of ourselves, our health. Yep. Um, with regard to emotions, I think it's important we now more than ever are more able to be more self-aware.
Right.
Yep, to be more understanding of what others feel, to be more thoughtful, mindful before we open our mouth and utter words or tweet something or post something. With regard to mental, I think by this time, 60 days over into the quarantine here in the Philippines, I think we have learned how to exercise mindfulness of what we feed our minds, because what we feed our minds become our thoughts, and our thoughts become our words, and our words become our actions.
Right.
And I think it's important that we really take care of what we put in our minds. Yeah, I've always believed whatever is pure, whatever is true, whatever is loving, whatever is caring, whatever brings the best out of you and out of the people around you. Think on those things, and there's really power in the words that we speak.
Right. Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation. Enjoy this time. And of course, I mean, I don't like to disregard the fact that some people are grieving at this time.
Right.
Yep. And some people are in despair at this time, going through the most difficult times and challenging times in their lives. I don't discount that fact, and I don't want to be called out for insensitivity. But if you are in that position, if you are blessed to be in that position, I think it's imperative and it's paramount that we embrace the life that we have now still.
Right. And so sometimes situations like a pandemic, like crisis like this, sometimes it's always good at the different side of the coin, right? Like
Mhm.
when they say sometimes in crisis, in occurrences such as these, there are also opportunities. And as you mentioned, it's time to connect. it's time to really evaluate, meditate on what's really important.
Mhm.
Like for me personally, I've had experiences or occurrences where I'm at a loss. You know, I'm in a
Mm.
I feel that I'm in a rut. However, when I think about, you know, my sense of purpose, why are we here? Then you get to reevaluate what you're doing, and then it redirects your purpose and what you're doing on an everyday basis based on
I
that.
couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, Martin. At the end of the day, it's why you do what you do,
Right.
right? It's really your purpose. And until you have reached a point where you understand why you are placed in a certain position. And I've always taught, and I've always shared with all of my training sessions, regardless whether they're supervisors or ranks or managers or top leaders. I've always shared with them that um, for us to be able to find our purpose is to really have a conscious effort on leaving, leaving your legacy wherever you're planted. If you are to think about, oh gosh, it's a wrong decision for me to be in this company and whatnot, it's not going to help you out. There's
Right.
always a reason why you're planted somewhere at that specific time, at that specific place. And all you got to do is think deep on why you're there. There's a reason for everything. So it's if you take the easiest route, which is to be in despair and just complain about making the wrong decision of your life or being where you are right now, it's not going to help you out. It's not going to help you out. um, I don't want to discount the fact that yes, you have to go through that feeling of despair and being
Right.
terrible and being horrible, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's how your mind directs what you need to feel and what you need to be doing. So, yeah, it's all about purpose. It's all about knowing your why, the reason why you're there.
And as they say, bloom where you're planted, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I like, oh my gosh, I forgot her name, but I've always loved this quote since I've gotten I've seen this particular quote from her. She said, instead of thinking that you were buried because you were in a dark place, it's rather think that you're planted. And when you're planted, you need to grow through what you go through. And I think
Right.
it is the most apt concept or idea that we need to take into consideration during these times. Grow through what you go through. And
Right.
you'll be surprised. You will be surprised of how much you would have evolved if you happen to take that mindset, that concept.
Beautiful. All right. Well, very aptly said. Unfortunately, we're at the end of our session for today. Thank you very much, Mr. AJ. Coach AJ, if in case they want to reach you, follow you, hear more insights about you, where can they see? Where can they find you?
Thank you, Martin. I've got a Facebook page. It's called Coach AJ Dela Fuente
Okay.
for insights, inspiration, motivation, tips on professional tips, personal tips, and whatnot. So you can follow me. You can just search on Facebook. That's Coach AJ De La Fuente. I've also got a YouTube channel with the same name, uploading the same materials and whatnot. I've never actually thought that it the reach would be that extensive, Martin,
Right.
especially during these times. And I'm just surprised, I'm just overwhelmed, to a certain point, flabbergasted with the amount of feedback that I get and the reach that I get through this media. And of course, I couldn't, be with you guys right now and go to your respective countries and whatnots. But you can get in touch with me through social media platforms.
That's great. And we'll make sure later on, we'll type in the comment section of the Facebook page, that page, right? So we'll
Yeah.
just tag in your Coach AJ. Again,
Mhm.
thank you very much for having us. So maybe we could just, I just wanted to share what we're going to be discussing next Monday because, of course, as mentioned, a lot of our tourism stakeholders are requesting certain topics, right? Because it somehow related to what they're going through. And now a lot of our tourism professionals are currently out of jobs.
Yeah.
Earlier, before we started, you mentioned that we're actually forecasting a lot of our OFWs, overseas Filipino workers, to be coming home. Is that correct?
That's correct. Most of them are eager to come home. Most of them are not excited, not as excited to be coming home because, as you know, most of our OFWs uh, gather as much resource as possible to be able to get themselves working abroad. So it's something that I think our local government need to really consider on how we can better manage logistically the repatriation of our people because at the end of the day we call them our modern day heroes, so I guess might as well give them the same respect, yeah, the same honor that we really would want to give our modern day superheroes.
Right. Okay. Well, just to look at our comments, we have a few number of people saying hi. Also, there's someone viewing from Playa La Caleta Waterfront Estates. Hello.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Janela, for saying hi. Good morning to you as well. We have Teresa, also from the Quezon province. Right.
Mhm.
So I've been missing going to the different destinations, AJ.
Tell me about it. Tell me
I've been
about
fever already. Right.
I
And we
know.
all have, we even have Apple from watching from Soxargen, Punta Isla
Oh
Lake Resort. This
wow.
is in Gensan. If I'm Sox, right? Soxargen, it's in Mindanao. So we just
Yes.
have. So that's the beauty of this platform medium. We're reaching different people, different from different background, all over the country, right?
Hmm.
So in fact, even our invitation alone, I think they're very much excited to see you and hear about you. We actually reached about 17,000 already just for our share.
Wow. Really? That's
Yeah, a lot
amazing.
of people are really looking forward to this episode. So
That's
again,
amazing.
thank you very much for joining us. Cheryl wanted to say her thanks. Thank you for enriching us. Thank you for your time to share your knowledge for us to become a better person and how to work at home effectively. God bless you
Mm,
all. Thank you
yes.
very much, Cheryl, and God bless you too. Now, just to
Martin, if you may, sorry, Martin, if you may, I just want to greet a few people who's watching on my watch party
go ahead.
because I couldn't read your comments, guys, because you're on the watch
Okay.
party. I just want to thank those people who are tuned in, those people who are from Accor tuned in today. Thank you in the Philippines, in Myanmar, and in the Maldives. Thank you. I'd like to give a special shout out to my Vice President of Learning and Development for Asia Pacific, Mr. Michael Vaz. Hello, who's based in Singapore, who's recently was invited to speak at a TED Talks. Yeah, TED
Wow.
Talk, Switzerland. So, hi, Michael. Thank you for your support as always. Thank you to a few people, Ati Haiti from 702 DZAS for watching as well. And to all my church members, church organizations, and whatnots, thank you for watching, and thank you again, Martin, for having me. Yes, you were saying about the OFWs, yeah, and how they're thinking differently this time to save
Right.
themselves.
Right. And, I think that's a challenge now. Some are at a loss. We don't have tourism is at a stop, at a halt,
Mm,
right?
true.
Most of our tourism stakeholders do not have opportunities for work right now. And so what we would like to discuss on Monday. So it's going to be on motivational because every Monday we want to start the week right, right? So the platform, our upskill learning sessions actually happens on Mondays and Fridays so that we can start the week right and end with a positive note, right? So next on
Mm,
motivational Monday, we're going to be talking about opportunities, right? So a lot of our tourism stakeholders are asking, what can they do now that they don't have jobs? We have tour guides who don't have jobs. We have hoteliers who were laid off because they're operating in a skeletal operations or manpower, right? So
mm,
a lot of our community members are asking what can they do, right? So and then I just wanted to share, AJ, this picture I saw online that there's
yeah.
a flight attendant who went viral because he's from Bangkok. Now as a chief flight attendant, we all know what happened to the aviation industry, right? Currently, what's happening. And so, what he did, he had to become a Grab food driver, right? Can you imagine that? And topics like these, like we see professionals doing. I think they're cooking, they're selling stuff, right? So we would like to talk about that. So if you do have your own stories, if you do have your own suggestions or recommendations of what you're currently doing, then maybe you can share in the comment below, right? Share what you're currently doing, and maybe we can also highlight you in order for us to help you go through this, ordeal. All right.
Martin, this idea is just amazing. It's just amazing. My news feed on my social media platform is infested, and I meant that in a good way, is infested with fellow colleagues who've actually embraced and found their passion back in cooking and
Right.
and baking and woodcraft
Right.
sculpture and whatnot. You just imagine how positive for some people this pandemic has produced. Yeah, so it's a great idea, and kudos to you for thinking about that as well. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, AJ. Once again, everyone, maybe we can give a digital clap, a digital applause to Coach AJ De La Fuente, of
Thank
course,
you. Thank
representing
you.
the Accor brand, and we've really learned a lot. The insights you provided gave us, another reason to wake up tomorrow, another reason to be, efficient with what we're doing. Next
Yeah.
week, hopefully, we get to apply because we always say at the end of the day, whatever we learn, if we do not apply it, it's nothing, right? So let's
Yeah.
try to
True.
incorporate, because we cater to most micro, small to medium enterprises,
True.
small
True.
hotels. Even if they say that they're mom and pop operations, you cannot discount the fact that we are serving guests, that we
Yes.
are serving
Absolutely.
tourists, right? And so,
Mhm.
taking off from what you shared with us, definitely we have to serve from the heart. It's
Mhm.
all about attitude. Having that servant leadership, I think,
Mhm.
is a key role for owners,
Mhm.
managers to incorporate in their operations. Thank you
Couldn't
very
agree
much
more.
again, AJ, for everything that you shared with us this morning.
Thank you again, Martin, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in today to the Filipino hospitality. More power to you, and to us, hoteliers. Please remember that this too shall pass. Not anytime soon, but it will pass. But what we do now, we got to embrace everything that's available for us to help us emerge better people, better citizens, and better family members to our friends and families. Thank you again, Filipino hospitality.
All right. And AJ, I hope there are no goodbyes. I hope we can have you again in the future.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. And
Absolutely. They, just give me enough notice so I can ask the corporate office. Again, thank you to corporate office for allowing me to appear here. Much thanks. Thank you. And thank you, Martin, for doing what you're doing. Yeah. Maybe it's not been said, maybe it's not been verbalized, but I think your advocacies and your ideas are reaching out to a lot of people. And if it's not been said yet, but thank you for what you do as well.
you're very much welcome. And at the end of the day, I always believe, instead of giving criticism to government, sharing things of negativity in social media, I think it's about time that we share positivity, that we
Correct.
try to help in every way that we can, in the little way
Mhm.
that we can, so that
Yes,
we can all progress, so that we can all move forward.
very true. Very true.
All right, thank you very much, AJ, for
Thank
joining
you.
us. All
Thank you.
right.
Bye, everyone.
So there you go. Thank you very much, Coach AJ De La Fuente, of course, of Accor Hotels Academy, for joining us. I hope everyone is filled like I am. It's crazy, because sometimes they say that when you teach, you also get to learn. When you give, you also receive a lot, and so that's why we really appreciate conducting these kinds of sessions, learning sessions, for free at that matter, because we want to reach out to you. We want to engage with you. We want to let you know our thoughts, as well as learn from you, from our community, from our members, all these things. Now, just to say hi, oh, we're also seeing some viewers from us from, I think he's from Cambodia, Lali, right? So he wanted to say hi. He's very much happy and he appreciates what we're doing. And again, thank you and mabuhay to everyone. So we're at a wrap up. We're at the close. Again, thank you for joining us in this session. And hopefully you can join us again for Motivational Monday next week. And that's the end of our session today. If you have comments and suggestions, again, please feel free to message us, DM us, email us, right? So we've been flashing our email address there. If you haven't done so, please do go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can follow our insights, more of our training videos, highlights, and information that we receive from the tourism industry. Thank you once again, and have a great day ahead.